Welcome to the Political Checkmate, and today I am going to checkmate this video from Democracy at Work called Responding to Economist's Idea, Workers Aren't Worth $15 an Hour by Richard Wolff. So here we go.
My next update has to do with a right-wing economist named Arthur Laffer. Some of you may know about him. He worked in the Reagan administration, and he was awarded the Medal of Freedom by Donald Trump. He recently outdid his right-wing past by telling us that it was technology that made it sadly the case, he said, that large numbers of our people, particularly minorities and poor people, just weren't worth $15 an hour. I kid you not. I couldn't make this stuff up. So Arthur Laffer, professor of economics, etc., that's his argument. Is it fair to say that these people are not worth $15 an hour? What does that even mean? $15 an hour is what an employer doesn't want to pay them. That I get, but that's very different from what they're worth. $15 is what the market decides they're not worth. The employer decides it's not worth it because he can't make money hiring them. But that's a very different matter. Let me explain. If you don't pay these people $15 an hour and give them a job at that pay, you know what they're going to be? Upset, angry, unemployed, without income, poor, bitter, hurt. Mental and physical problems will come their way. And you know something? Their families are going to suffer, not just those who can't get the job, but those who depend on them. And there will be health costs and social work costs, all kinds of costs. It'll turn out to cost much more than $15 an hour. The society would have been better off giving them a job for $15 because it's going to cost you a lot more not to give.
Wow, thank you Richard Wolff for exposing the problem of forcing the minimum wage as a whole, where raising the minimum wage would create a barrier for people who can't make $15. I don't know the context of Arthur Laffer's argument, but I think I know what Arthur Laffer was trying to argue. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Let's say a burger costs $5 to sell, but it is worth $7 to you eating it. But let's say they charge you $8 for the burger, but the burger is still only $7 to you. It would not be worth it to you to buy the burger, but you would instead find an alternative like a pizza to consume. That is similar to workers, where the worker might produce something like $10 worth of value, but if you mandate a $15 minimum, and if they can't produce the $15 worth of value, the employer would look for an alternative, like machines, to do it, since you made the machine more worth it to use than the worker.
Give them a job. Think about it. Now let's turn religious for a moment. Nowhere in the Bible, I believe, I'm no expert on the Bible, but nowhere in the Bible do I understand it is written that the worth of a human being is to be determined by the market, is to be determined by how much an employer will pay for somebody's labor. We're all equal in the eyes of God, I thought. The human worth is based on many things other than what the employers in the community will pay. You know, the employers never paid to maintain the environment, and we're now paying the price of what wasn't worth it for them. And employers didn't spend money to hire people to overcome the racism that tears this country apart. That wasn't worth it to them either. Are we really going to do what's worth it to the employer rather than asking the obvious question, what's it worth to us as human beings?
Well, I would recommend this video from John Jorgensen that explains what equal in God's eyes mean, where it pretty much means justice. While the concept of inequality of payment is not inherently wrong, according to Jesus' parable of the talents, while on the environment, I would recommend the economist Walter Block's discussion of climate change, where he points out the reason why pollution was worth it to them was because they did not have to pay the consequences since the courts were not holding up property rights. While for discrimination from racism, it was because government enforced segregation even though businesses did not want segregation because they were losing money from it. This is what the economist Jennifer Roback points out in her article, where she points out that streetcar companies were against segregation because it would cost empty seats on the streetcars, which would cause a loss in profits, but the reason why segregation was passed was because it was politically profitable, since voters did not have to bear the cost privately. Of course, when businesses have the ability to choose whether or not to discriminate, they would not have a financial incentive to do so because it would cost them money in doing so. So, according to the Nobel Prize winning economist Gary Becker, and this study from sociological science supports this theory, where they have found that discriminatory businesses are more likely to go out of businesses than non-discriminatory business.
Or let me put it another way. What's the worth of the employer? Why aren't we asking that question? Really? Brian Nickel, Chipotle Mexican Grill? Is that what he's worth? $38 million? So that he can decide to deprive hundreds of thousands of people of $15 an hour? Really? The market doesn't determine things accurately or appropriately or even humanly. We are not to be shaped by the market. The market is a human institution that has to serve us. And if it comes up with the worth of people that contradicts common sense and understanding, then we should go with our common sense and understanding and not be slavish in the face of the institution we've created. Otherwise, the market is a little bit like Frankenstein.
The reason why CEO deserves their high pay, according to the economist Tyler Cowen, is that the role of the CEO has increased because before they need skills to just run the company, and now they need to do better public relations, and now the business are more globalized than ever. I would also like to point out that a change in CEO could either attract or distance investors away from the business, which would heavily impact the business's revenues. Finally, I want to quote from the book In Defense of Capitalism by Rainer Ziedelman. The Austrian economist Joseph Schumpeter wrote that entrepreneurial profit arises in the capitalist economy wherever a new method of production, a new commercial combination, or a new form of organization is successfully introduced. It is the premium which capitalism attaches to innovation. Now, with Richard Wolff's claim about the market, the prices are simply how the majority of people value the goods itself, based on how much value it brings to itself. So yes, the market does follow common sense and understanding. Also, the market does determine things more accurately than compared to other systems. There is a reason why you socialists have failed to debunk the economic calculation problem. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and please donate to my Patreon so I can make more videos and have your video requests checkmated. And thanks for watching, and have a nice day.